are back for another Sunday morning show, hour later this time. Had some obligations to take care of this morning, but DJ was kind enough to reschedule here, so we are go for an 11 a.m. start this time.
I was very grateful for that extra hour, I have to say. So
yeah, but wait a second. We've got a hold on. I'm about to call a little bit of an audible. Feel like yes.
What's
March
going on here?
8th overnight is daylight savings. We are nearly there. 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Wow, is it really only 2 weeks?
Yeah, March 8th. I just looked it up.
Because for
So we
I always
will,
feel like it's like the 15th or whatever.
Yeah, we will spring forward, which means less sleep.
on top of the amount of sleep I'm already not getting, I don't know if I can do that. Vish.
This might be a permanent 11. We might be moving to a permanent 11 a.m. time slot. So actually, we can. There's no reason we can't. We'll just have to do shorter shows if I have a noon baseball or something, but or noon hoops. But
do you know what's not changing, Vish?
Huh?
Do you know what's not changing?
What?
I was going to say a potential sponsor, but
we don't. We're still waiting for a sponsor. Yeah, actually, that did change. So that sponsorship, our old friends at 305-800 paid have run out. Apparently, we have a new sponsor coming in this week. So
still go visit them. We appreciate.
Yeah, go and visit them anyway. Yeah, they're good people. They took care of us for a while here. Shout out to Dan Barry in the chat.
Yeah,
So quick up. So here's what we're going to cover today. Quick update on the lack of news, I guess, around the coaching search, and then we'll talk about the combines. 10 Canes are participating in the combines. So we're going to break that down a little bit. But yeah, first, just to kind of recap, we are still looking for a running back coach, a cornerbacks coach / potentially passing game coordinator, if that title is going to pass on, and a tight ends coach, although we don't throw the tight ends. So maybe I throw that in there for you, DJ. I know it's a sore point for you.
That is a very sore point. It makes me feel like I should fly down to Coral Gables and volunteer to be the tight end.
We've got the tight end coach right here. Just throw the
It is a sore point, and
yeah,
I will make sure to use Elijah Lofton for all the Elijah Lofton fans out there. So,
all right, well, that's good to hear. Yeah, but there was, I guess, the only thing that happened last week on Friday, I believe it was, a rumor broke that the Canes were finalizing a deal with Patrick Surtain, who we talked about last week. Obviously, was let go by FSU this offseason. That turned out to be false. And it looks like the Canes are not even really considering him based on the reporting that happened after that. So I know last week we spent a little bit of time talking about his potential merits, but
yeah,
it appears that he is not. And he's obviously very popular down in Miami, having been a mainstay in the Dolphins secondary for several years, and one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL at the time. So naturally, there's some, hey, what about this guy? But we did also discuss last week, FSU is terrible. The program is in shambles. And while I think we all agree he was scapegoated there, even if he's the best coach on that staff, the best coach on a staff that's performing like that might not be up to our standard. And I think that's kind of potentially where they landed, although there might be more twists in terms of this. So we don't really have much update on that. Just because there's no update.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a bummer. I kind of wanted to have him on the staff, but
we'll see. I mean, right now now Blue had said on last week's Sixers Game show that he felt the coaching staff hiring was kind of done and they were finalizing contract details, but we still haven't had any news break, and maybe Surtain will be back in the mix. We don't until we hire a coach, anyone's in the mix, right? So we'll see how that plays out.
Florida State is at the point where Mike Norvell can make anybody on his coaching staff look bad, so I wouldn't necessarily even hold that against Surtain. So
I wouldn't hold it against him if he gets hired, which it apparently looks like he will not. But if he gets hired, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But if if they choose to go another direction, like one of the obvious explanations are, you were just fired by one of the worst teams in the country and one of the worst run programs in the country, which again might not necessarily be a negative, but also like, I mean, how good were their corners last year? They sucked. Like their whole team did. I mean, that was probably the easiest game Carson Beck played all year was against that secondary. So, I mean, I can totally see why they're like, you know what, maybe not do this. And again, that might not be his fault and all that. So if they hired him, there's all sorts of reasons why you can ignore or, contextualize how FSU has been performing in their secondary. But I can totally see, looking at it like we need to go a different direction than that. So anyway, we'll see as those hires are made. We will of course be we will be all over that. I guess, I mean, I'm assuming this is about to happen, but just go ahead and say we're probably not gonna have a show tomorrow night. So and then this show is off next week. So a little bit of a delay. We'll have 6 rings in 8 days probably. But anyway, well, DJ and I at least show up for that. So anyway, on to more pressing news, DJ, which is the combine is next weekend. Or I guess starts in the middle of the week and through the weekend. Several Canes are participating, so we're going to kind of walk through who they are and what they need to show. So starts as most things do in football with the quarterback. So Carson Beck is there. What do you think he needs to do at that combine? I'll pull up draft projections for them as we're going to do some light Googling in terms of where they're slotted. So he is mock NFL draft database. This is way too much data. It's a database, but okay, here we go. Right at the top, never mind. Projected average 4th round. So
okay,
which isn't too bad for him. But what do you think he needs to do in the combine?
I think he needs to continue to show his arm strength. He needs to, be able to show, that he can sort of make quick decisions, which we have seen obviously, but I don't know if he needs to do too much. I think he's an interesting case because he is an older quarterback. When you look at this quarterback class, however, it's not incredibly strong. I mean, in one website that I'm looking at, which is NFLDraftBuzz.com, if any of you want to check it out, it goes Mendoza, Ty Simpson, Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, and then Carson Beck. And then after Carson Beck, it's Cade Klubnik and Drew Aller. So I do think there is a chance that he could maybe even be drafted a little bit higher than the 4th round. But, I think good.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I think that big thing, like you said, is the arm strength. I don't know if he fully regained it this season. It looks like it's just a little bit. I mean, he definitely, obviously, didn't take all the way to the championship games. It wasn't like it was that bad, but I felt like he had times he was able to zip it, but maybe not as consistently. So I think doing the passing goes and showing consistent power in his throws will probably help him. I don't really think anyone's going to be concerned with his 40 time. He's not really a two-way quarterback. So I mean, I guess, yeah. So I mean, I guess if it's really bad, they might worry a little bit about that, especially since he's been injured in the past. So potentially that. I will say the other thing that this site has. So I can have subscribed to unlock 4 other teams, but it does give him a team fit of the Steelers. And apparently there's 4 others, but
interesting.
Anyway. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I agree. I think 3rd, 4th round, maybe 5th if he slides a little bit is probably where we see him going. And I actually, unless he like really has a bad combine or like the medical evaluation shows his arm is actually not healed, he's not going to be able to make the throws. I don't think there's much at stake for him in the combine.
He would have to not participate in the combine at all to slide even below Klubnik or Drew Aller. I mean, truthfully, if there was a draft for him to go into, it would be this one as far as the quarterback position is concerned. Because even after Drew Aller, they have Taylor Green and Sawyer Robinson after that, and then Miller Moss at 9. So, I think he could really benefit here from this being a weak quarterback class.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other thing to keep in mind is, he's going to interview well. Like he's, all the crap that's been talked about him is not accurate. He's a high character person that they're gonna, when he'll do well in the interview room too. Because when you start talking about that round, you want someone that's going to want to work hard, learn the offense, and kind of not be a problem also. And in terms of like, well, I think I should be starting. You don't want to deal with it. I think he'll be very good in the room there. All right, next kid, CJ Daniels. So the same projection site has him as a 5th round pick, also team fit Steelers. Okay, maybe this team fit thing doesn't actually work, but so 5th round pick. What do you think he needs to do, DJ?
I think he needs to show his ability to go get the deep ball. I think we saw it at Miami, right? We saw his playmaking ability, but I think he needs to show it consistently. And, the combine's not always the best place to do that, but there are some drills and things like that where he can show off his speed and his ability to react to passes. Because, quite honestly, when you look at this draft, the wide receiver group is extremely deep. You have Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Denzel Boston, KC Concepcion, who we saw in the playoffs. So this wide receiver draft is very loaded. And, I think even a guy like Elijah Surratt can make some noise and things like that. So I think he might have to do a little bit more work in order to separate himself amongst this wide receiver group. But this is a really good chance. I mentioned all those names, and CJ is kind of flying under the radar. So this is a chance for him to really elevate his stock and, elevate his profile here. And we've seen before, right, where players come in, they're relatively unknown nationally, but by the end of, the weekend or the time, their stock rises dramatically due to how well they've done. So I think this could be, a really good shot for him to raise his profile. I don't see any way where he could, kind of lose or lessen his profile, and he could be a sneaky receiver in a very strong group.
Yeah, I think for him, I think it's 40 time matters a lot. We know he can catch the ball, like he has great hands. So I think the catching drills he'll do really well. I think where he's gonna maybe potentially need to separate or could hurt himself is in the 40 time. Just he needs to show. He's not a blazer. He's not going to run like a 4.3 or 4.2 or something, but show a decent speed so it's not like, oh my God, this guy. I remember what happened with Restrepo last year. Yeah. Although I do think Daniels is more of an NFL type receiver, so I think he'll transition better. So I expect him to get drafted. But and again, projection here, consensus 5th round, which does feel about right.
And not even the 40-yard dash, but like the 3-cone drill and things like that as well. And even the 20-yard shuttle, just things like that can kind of isolate that speed element and show his quickness.
Yep. So that is So I agree. He's got to show that agility because the hands are there. So and actually his size is good too. So he just he needs to show the hands. All right. Next up on the list is the big fella Markel Bell. Projection here 6th round. Look, we got a different team. Team Fit Bears.
Okay.
Maybe they are updating. So actually, this actually shows you like a high and a low. Actually, no, it doesn't. Okay. So I guess what are your thoughts on Markel? He's obviously a big, massive kid. Again, 40 time probably not really much of a factor for a lineman. But what do you think here?
He's a very pass protection friendly offensive lineman, and in a league that is increasingly becoming favored towards the quarterback, you definitely need that. I think a lot of people are going to overlook him. And kind of, not feel any particular way about him, but I think he could be a steal for whoever gets him. Obviously for him, something like the bench press is going to be a major drill. Um, you know, even, to some degree, maybe the shuttle, but I think, he's in a low risk, high reward situation. Again, he's another player that can elevate his stock. And obviously, Francis is getting a lot of the buzz, and rightfully so, right? But I think Bell could be a really good asset to any team that gets him. A little bit, struggled in run blocking at times, but the pass protection is definitely there. The size is definitely there. So I'm really excited to see what he can do this weekend, and he's a guy that I'm watching.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think he'll do really well in the strength tests.
Yeah.
I also am not like some kind of an expert at evaluating prospects. I think he can. I think he can make his mark on the next level again. Projected in the 6th round here. He should test really well in terms of strength and how he finishes his blocks in the pass protection drills. All right, next one is another offensive line. This one, Inez Cooper. Projected here 7th round, fit potentially the Broncos. Yeah, I think he's in that 7th / potentially even undrafted area. I guess what are your thoughts there, DJ?
I would almost say that he's an undrafted type of player, and he's a very good flyer candidate for a team that needs, additional offensive line depth. Played pretty well at Miami. Just I don't know how he'll translate to the NFL. But I do think that he does have a chance to sign with the team and, make an impact, and kind of one of those situations where he signs with a team, makes a name for himself, and then, really gets going by the time he gets comfortable with his team.
Yeah, no, I think it might actually benefit him to be undrafted, maybe practice squad, and work his way up onto the main team. Because when you're not drafted, you can kind of pick your spot and pick a spot that maybe has more less younger offensive line depth that he can then potentially catch on with. Because I do agree. I think he has the ability to be an NFL player, but he's not like a surefire guy, and so landing in the right spot and giving him the opportunity to kind of show what he can do is really important. And so it might actually benefit him to be undrafted. But again, he should test okay.
Yeah.
Our offensive line last year was very old, so like these guys should do well in the strength. Like they're kind of developed from a strength standpoint, so they should all test well.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where him picking his team might almost be better for him in the long run. That's one thing that undrafted free agents can do that, kind of benefits them and is a positive for being undrafted, a silver lining.
Right. And if you're like in the 7th, 7th, 6th, 7th round, there's not really much of a commitment from the team. So, while yes, it's great to hear your name called, if they just say, I'm gonna take a flyer on you and it's not a good fit for whatever reason, depth chart wise or maybe coaching staff wise, you could end up, getting cut just like as if you were undrafted, but undrafted, you do have a little bit more say in where you go, so you can maybe pick a better spot. So, but he'll be around that 7th round / undrafted likely. All right, the next guy on our list was definitely not. All right, we're all of a sudden went from undrafted to top 5 pick, Francis Mauigoa. Consensus across most of the mocks I've looked at have him going 3rd to the Cardinals.
Seems like every Miami guy's going to the Cardinals now.
Well, yeah, that's true. It's becoming a landing spot for Canes coaches and maybe players as well. But he's a surefire, can't miss top 5 pick. I don't think he's going to get out of the top 5, well in the top 10. Obviously, 1st rounder. Let me ask the question this way: why is he even going to the combine?
I don't know. I really don't know. The one thing I could maybe say is that this is a very strong offensive tackle class. You have Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu from Utah, and then Caden Proctor from Alabama. So maybe he wants to just show that he can, compete with them on a national level, I guess. But I don't know why he's going. He doesn't need to go, but it'll be fun to watch him anyway. But there's no
Yeah.
doubt. There's no doubt he's the best tackle in this draft.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he gets past the Cardinals at 3. It's a need there. It's a good fit for him,
Yeah,
and in
absolutely.
terms of their blocking scheme, and I think that's a kind of a no-brainer for them to make that selection. And they have the 3rd pick. He won't be there. They have a later pick in the 1st round. Somebody won't be there for that. So that kind of adds up as well. All right, next pick, similarly rated actually. Ruben Bain Jr. also obviously going to go in the 1st round. Again, for them, they have fit as Titans, and that's where the consensus mock has him going number 4. I will say if he doesn't go number 4, he might slide a bit. But yeah, he is pretty much the consensus is him to Tennessee in that number 4 spot right behind CC. I will say the one thing I don't think he really needs to show anything else either at the combine. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't even know why he's here. I will say it's better to be part of that top group on the defensive line. You have guys like Keldrick Falk and Peter Woods, and then Cassius Howell, and Bain is the cream of the crop. I don't know why he's necessarily going, but it'll be good to see him at the combine. And if he goes to Tennessee, he reunites with Cam and X. So that would be a fun fit to watch just from a Hurricanes perspective.
Yeah, no, and I think there was all these rumors about how his arms are too short, it's going to cause him to slide. I just want to first of all know, like he's got 3 years of dominating on tape. That's not there. Arm was another half an inch longer than we would. That's not going to happen. That's mostly rumors started by agents of other players that want to knock his draft stock down, get their guys drafted higher. He's going to go top 5. It looks like both him and Maui. Well, and it looks like the Titans are really targeting him to bolster their defensive line. They hired Robert Saleh, who's a defensive coach, and he's going to love to have Ruben Bain on the defense. And I don't think he'll slide past there. That is. Yeah. So up next after Ruben is Akeem Mesidor. Let me get his draft. It's very useful. It's got like an aggregation of everyone's mock drafts. All right, this has a projected in the 1st round, which is the consensus. In fact, none of these mocks have him sliding out of the 1st round. So it looks like he's kind of gonna go more in the 20s. This one has him mocked to the Cowboys as the consensus.
Ooh,
which would make myself and Melissa very happy here. The consensus is basically they pulled mock drafts from like all over the place, and that's the most common one. That would be at pick 20. The lowest pick, DJ, that is showing up here is a few of these, not a lot, but a few of them have them sliding all the way to 31 in a certain team in New England.
Mike Vrabel and Akeem Mesidor. I wouldn't mind that.
That one's for you.
I wouldn't mind Mike Vrabel and Akeem Mesidor. Yes, please.
Well, if you can play offensive line, that might help a little bit more. But
hey, who made it to the Super Bowl? Who didn't, Vish? I'll just say that.
Yeah. Oh, we're never making the Super Bowl again. I'm at peace with that, my friend. I'm at peace with that. I would buy a Mesidor jersey though if he's the 20th pick. But I guess so. He's in that 20. In the probably the highest. In fact, the highest on any of these. At 19 to Carolina, I see some 17 to the Lions. 15 to the Browns. That'd be pretty high. But anywhere from that 15 to 30 range, 31 potentially, if he falls to the Patriots. Is there any way for him to move up or down in the combine, or do you think he's kind of locked in? Is there a way for him to do something workout wise that gets him maybe bumped up a little bit?
I think he's kind of locked in because when you look at this defensive line class, you have a guy like Zion Young from your favorite team, Missouri. You have obviously
Missouri, I guess.
you have the top heavy guys like we talked about, Bain and stuff, but then you have these middle guys like TJ Parker and Christian Miller from Georgia and Caleb Banks from Florida, who's also really good. So I think you kind of see him locked into that spot, which is not a bad spot to be in,
Yeah, no, for sure. He should, barring anything really surprising, he should be a first rounder, which is obviously great. And that would be the third Kane picked in the first round, which it's been a long time since that's happened.
Yeah.
All right, next up, linebacker Wesley the Saint. He is another undrafted free agent projection potentially.
Yeah.
In the seventh round or undrafted. What does he need to do?
I think it's one of those situations where he can really sort of make his mark at the combine. For him, it's not necessarily about what he needs to do. It's just about putting a solid weekend together overall to raise his stock. I think he could be a really good NFL linebacker, but I mean, just getting in front of the scouts and NFL teams on a national level is going to be big, because I think there were a lot of defensive stars for Miami last year, and I feel like he got overshadowed in some ways. So I think just getting to the combine, taking part in the drills, putting together a good showing, being in front of those scouts, and interviewing well with potential teams could really make a difference for him. And I think he could be a sneaky player to watch for, in terms of whoever picks him up could get a steal, because I've always really liked him.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think he tackles well, he runs well. He's gonna have to show all of that. He's gonna have to do well in those drills, because what he's gonna have to do is convince coaches that at least initially he's an asset in special teams, which he has the ability to do. You put him in punt and kick coverage, he should do really well there based on skill set, and that's how he'll make these teams. And then, like you said, I do think he has the ability to play linebacker at the NFL level, especially with the way that the game has kind of evolved, and it's not the era of like the 250-pound lumbering linebacker is gone, and they're much more how Wes is built.
Yeah,
and so. Yep. So I do think there's a good opportunity for him to catch on, but the way he's going to make the team is through special teams initially. And again, his skill set aligns really well to that. Now, he didn't play too much of that in college, because again, you have 400 people on a team in college instead of 48 in the NFL. So like, you have backups running down. You don't really have your starting middle linebacker necessarily running down kick coverage every time, but that's how he's going to make the team. And again, skills translate well to that, so it's important at the combine he shows that.
Mm-hmm.
Runs a solid 40 time, does well in the tackling drills, does well in the agility drills, and then shows that ability that we can. This guy will at least be really good for us in special teams to start. That'll help him translate forward.
Yeah, for him, like you said, the agility drills, specifically for me, the 20-yard shuttle. I mean, just the way he can change direction, like we've seen it at times in Miami, and if he can even just have a good showing there, then that would definitely go a long way towards helping him.
Yep. Next on the list is Keontae Scott. His projection is second round. And oh man, this is brutal. The team he's most picked to go to across 5 drafts is the Seahawks, who absolutely do not need.
No, they do not.
Any more help on that defense?
They do not. They do not at all.
Honestly, he'd fit perfectly with that defense, but I don't want to.
He would, but I don't want to see that. I already saw it. I don't want to see more of it.
It's not fair. No, he would be a perfect fit for. He's obviously a fantastic player.
Yeah.
I think second round feels about right, just because I don't know if there's anything at the combine he can do differently. I think the way and this is why if you think about the Seahawks defense, he's very scary. The way we used him was more of a rover. Like, he wasn't really like traditional, this is your position. And actually, the Seahawks do a lot of that with their defensive backs, so he'd fit great there. I think for most teams, but I think for most teams, though, when they look at they're like, who's to go in the first round, like, who's the lockdown corner? That's not really his role. So I think that's why he'll slide into the second round. But he might be the most impactful defensive back in this draft, like 10 years from now. especially if he lands in Seattle, where you're like, is this guy making all these plays left and right? Like he would kill in that defensive scheme. But most teams don't do that. Most teams, they either want to play man or zone, but they really want their DBs to be cover first, and that's kind of their primary. I think there are other guys that did a lot more of that in college. For Keontae, again, we kind of used him all over the place. He played, some de facto linebacker for us when we put him in the box. Then he'd play in the slot defensively. Then he'd drop back into safety. So I think that versatility is why there's zero chance he'll slide past the second round. But it's hard to get into the first round when you're not plug and play into okay, cool. If you draft a corner in the first round, you kind of expect, all right, we're gonna line them up against our best receiver, against the other team's best receiver, and lock him down. That's not really the way he plays corner. So I think that's why I'll see him slide to the second round. But I think it'll be a steal for picks in there. God, please don't be the Seahawks at all. They don't deserve it. So
if he goes to the Seahawks, that might be a problem for the rest of the NFL. But one of the things that I constantly heard about him and read about him is that he's a film room junkie. He absolutely loves watching film and is a very smart football player. And in that way, I think he'll interview really well. He doesn't really need to do much at the combine, but whoever gets him is going to get an absolute steal. And like you kind of alluded to, I think he's a 10, maybe even 10, 12-year player.
Yeah, no, and we saw that in the against Ohio State. He once the guy motioned down, he knew what the play was, and that's from eating the film. And he jumped it.
Absolutely.
Man, why you got to bring up painful memories for me too, Martin, our friend Martin, and our viewer from Botswana, who frequent on this show because it's actually the one show that we do that time zone wise works really well for him. But
hey, Martin.
Although after the time change part, we might push this back an hour to avoid what will feel like an early morning call there. But that's not a good memory for me either. Anyway, the last one. All right, until the last player, DJ, as we get to wrap it up here too, is Jacoby Thomas. Now he is projected further down. He's projected, looks like 6th, 7th round, that range. The fifth they have here is Broncos, but his projections are kind of, when you get to that point in the draft, it is kind of all over the place in terms of teams he's going to. But he's looking, all these mocks having this 6 or 7. Interesting, none of them having him sliding out of the draft. So I think someone will pick him. Thoughts on what he needs to do there?
Maybe bench press. Bench press could be a good thing for him. Again, and I hate to say it, but it really is. A lot of it is about interviewing well. Maybe even the 40-yard dash time and the 3-cone, especially, when it comes to evaluating quickness and change of direction. But I think he's a very heady player. He seems to be all around the football. He can diagnose plays very well. So the Broncos would be an interesting fit because they already have a very strong defense. And so, I don't think he'll slide out. I think he'll be, lower like all the projections have him. But whoever gets him is going to get, I believe, an NFL-ready player.
He's a playmaker. He reads the game well. He hits. And so I think he has the potential of maybe moving up a bit in the if he combines well, especially if he runs well. So hopefully he can do that and move up. I don't think he'll fall below 6th, 7th round, which is where the projections are now. If
anything, I see his stock rising with a good weekend.
Yeah, he's got an opportunity to move up maybe to the 4th or 5th round if he combines well, because on the tape on him will show that he's a playmaker. So his mock draft rating is lower because of other factors that actually can address at the combine. So he has an opportunity to move up. And that's it, DJ. Those are the 10 players we have at the combine this year. It's by far our strongest draft class, and I don't even know how long.
I'm gonna look that up. Actually, I'm gonna see.
When are we going all the way back to early 2000s for a draft class this strong?
Oh, when?
mean, obviously Cam went number 1 last year, and then we never another guy drafted for.
So the last time the Miami Hurricanes had 10 or more players drafted was in 2002 when 11 players were drafted. 2004 had 9 players. 2017 also had 9 players.
Really?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about 2017.
I'm looking at the 17 draft right now.
Oh, okay. A lot
Might be later. Let me see. Let's see. So Njoku went in the first round to Cleveland.
He's still in the league. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Rayshon went to the Chargers in the 4th round. That was the second pick. Horn Elder went to the Panthers in the 5th round. Man, what's a lot of late round picks?
I remember Corey.
Danny Isidora went to the 5th round to the Vikings. Al-Qadim Muhammad, who's still playing for the Lions, went in the 6th round to the Saints. The Lions drafted Brad Kaya. The Vikings drafted Stacey Coley in the 7th. Adrian Colbert went to the Niners in the 7th round. He actually played for a while there. He had a good career. Who's Marquez Williams? We had a fullback named Marquez Williams that went to the Jaguars. I honestly don't remember him. So those are your 9 picks. So we were actually, this is so funny. Michigan had 11 players in that draft. Bama had 10. We had 9. But we had 1 in the 1st round, and then 1 in the 4th round. Everyone else was 5th, 6th, and 7th, mostly the 6th and 7th. So that this should be a lot more top. Well, we're gonna have 3 in the 1st round, and then I think at least Keontae in the 2nd. So we'll have 4 in the first 2 rounds. Which, so we get since
I'm
like
just looking at 2002, which I think I know.
I mean those ones. The 2002 draft was in
legendary.
2003 as well. Like if you look at both those drafts, 2002 and 3 are the actually 2001, 2002, and 2003. So 2001, I'll tell you, this will be let's focus on the 1st round because there's too many. But Dan Morgan went 11 to Carolina. This is 2001 to Carolina. Damian Lewis, current defensive line coach here, went to the Rams at 12. Santana Moss went to the Jets at 16. Reggie Wayne went to the Colts at 30. That was our 1st round in 2001. 2002 should have been Andre Johnson and that. Oh no, that would be 2003. Who was in 2002? Bryant McKinney went to the Vikings at 7. Shockey to the Giants at 14. Raiders picked Philip Buchanan at 17, Ed Reed to the Ravens at 24, and then Mike Rumpf to the Niners at 27. So that was 5 first rounders. And then I think all the way through 2004, we were like just loading the first rounders. But let's see, 2003 draft, Andre Johnson went 3rd. Okay. Jerome McDougal to the Eagles went 15. McGahee went to the Bills at 23. William Joseph, who's a defensive tackle, went to the Giants at 25. Those were another 4 firsts. Yeah, this is like, oh God, we should kill everyone. And the last one we kind of had that huge class, 2004. Sean Taylor to the Redskins at 5. Kellen Winslow to the Browns at 6. Vilma to the Jets at 12. DJ was the Broncos at 17. Vernon Carey, who had a really long NFL career offensive line, went to the Dolphins at 19. Wilfork to
Big Vin. Love
the
Big
21st.
Vin. Yep.
So those are your 1st round picks. So we had 6, I believe, that year. Yeah, 6. And then after that, it started to kind of fall. So it's probably been it's been about 20 years since we've had that level of top end player picked.
Yeah, for sure. And wow, some of those names you just mentioned brought me back. I mean, I know you all think I'm like 15 years old, but I do remember those drafts, and I do. And some of those players were my childhood, and now we're at a point in the Mario Cristobal era where we're starting to produce NFL talents. So, I mean,
I think there's that 2017 draft is kind of hilarious because it was.
Yeah.
There was a couple of guys, one guy up at the top, and then another guy kind of mid-round. Everything else is just like just guys that
Yeah.
that were kind of making up the end of
Bottom
the draft
tier,
and
sort of. Yeah.
bottom part of the draft. So you end up with 9
Yeah.
guys drafted, but it has been 20 years since we've had the top end there, and this is a year after we had the number 1 overall pick. So things are good in Miami, and that'll continue as you start looking at the talent that is on this team, not just coming back, but that's been recruited. You're going to see, them continue to put several first round picks in the draft every year now. So it is a fun time to be with covering this program.
Yeah, and I mean, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but there's a lot of young talent coming in that could set the stage for more draft picks in the future, especially in the upcoming class. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this program develops them and how they play and what the future of this team is.
Yep. All right, so that about covers it for today's show. So again, next Sunday we won't have a show. I have a commitment, so I can't be on. I think we're not going to have Six Rings Kings tomorrow night, but we will next Monday for sure. So that'll be next week's content. Will be Monday night, 8:30 our normal time slot. We do have Canes on deck tonight covering baseball as they look to sweep Lafayette today, 8-0. Yesterday, doubleheader, 2 run rule games. So
they're on a roll.
Yeah, the team is knocking the cover off the ball. A lot of the freshmen are hitting really well too, which is great to see. So shout out to Dylan Dubovic, who finally got out yesterday after his first 6 at bats were 2 doubles, 3 home runs. And
crazy.
and actually he got out on his first at bat, but it was a sac fly, so it wasn't actually an out. It wasn't a negative on his batting.
It was a productive
outing. Yeah, he finally grounded out yesterday before he then came back up again and doubled. So shout out to him. Great start to his career. We had the Canes finish off Lafayette. We'll talk about that midweek at FAU, and then Florida comes to town next weekend. So that'll be the focus of tonight's Canes on deck. I mentioned probably not Six Rings Canes tomorrow, but I will have the Formula One show with Evan that we do. And then we should have buckets on Thursday after the women host Pitt. So that is what is coming up on the network this week. DJ, as always, thanks for hanging out with me on a Sunday morning.
Thank you. Always a good time. Always a pleasure.
Yep. And everyone, thanks for watching and listening. And go Canes.
Go Canes.